It's a big NBA day for a couple different reasons. Number one, the NBA draft is tonight. And this has got to be the least talked about NBA draft of my lifetime. I'm 45 years old. I used to get together with my buddies. We would watch the NBA draft. I used to know every guy that went in the first round. I used to get fired up when Dwayne Shinsis got drafted 26th out of Florida because he had an amazing mullet. I mean, even second rounders were guys that were really good college basketball players that we knew about. We're like, wow, can you believe he didn't go till the second round? We're going to play this game next segment. I have a buddy who's like diehard college basketball fan, my buddy Paul, and he bets a lot on college basketball. We went through the projected lottery picks. I think he knew 5 of the 14 projected lottery picks. 5. I'm going to guess that the Danettes combined will know less than 5. Although I think you guys, yesterday and this morning, you've kind of been researching a little bit. So it's a little bit different. Thoughts, Paulie?
I know what you're saying, because like last year's Wembanyama, everyone knew about him. He'd been talked about for years. Now you have 2 guys who are, one was born in France, but he plays in Australia, but he was playing in Atlanta this year, so that's confusing. And he's a defensive stopper, which doesn't really excite people. You got to go to like some random college basketball players, and some of them were like 21 years old, some were 19.
It's wild, because I didn't feel like watching March Madness that the players weren't good. Like, I love the NC State big guy. I love March Madness this year. I thought it was great. It's really interesting, isn't it? It's like no matter how many guys go to like the G League or are international or go to overtime or whatever, it doesn't really affect my enjoyment of the NCAA tournament. Just give me pretty good basketball players wearing the uniforms. Give me the cheerleaders, the band, and then have the fans in the stands cheering for their alma mater. I don't really care if they're a good NBA prospect or not. Marv?
I think it also hurts that the National Player of the Year might be a late first round, if not second round pick in Zach Edey from Purdue. So it was the guy that was the best player in college basketball, and he's nowhere to be found in the lottery, or projected to be. He's not projected to be a lottery pick.
I have heard the name, seen the name, and talked about Zach Edey dozens of times over the last 3 years. I've never heard of some of the guys that are going to be the top 3 picks. Isn't that wild? I mean, it has just changed so much. Seton, were you going to say something?
3 or 4 of like the top 10 players are from France.
Yeah.
Is that right?
3 of the
See, now we can't play the game because you guys are clearly doing research if you know that.
We don't. To be fair, we usually don't do any research before the show. Sorry about that.
I guess my first question, and this might be a poll question, but this is a question for the phone number. This is a question for people on social media, and maybe even a poll question. Are you going to watch the NBA draft tonight? Now, listen, you guys have to do the show tomorrow. I'm out of here after today, but you guys have to do the show tomorrow. So let's be honest. If you were not one of the Danettes, if you were not a producer of the biggest sports talk radio show in the country, would you watch tonight's NBA draft, Fritzy?
I would watch the first few picks just to see the opening and how they hype it up. But that since I don't know these guys and have no emotional attachment to them, I don't have to worry about booking any guests or talking about it on national radio and TV. Maybe the first 5 picks or so, then I'm out.
Seton?
Maybe I'd be curious to see where the UConn players go.
Yeah.
But still, that's not something that you have to watch for. You could just find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I am curious to see where like Castle goes, where Klingon goes, but there's not a huge pull to see who's gonna get that 1-star player.
Marv?
I'm with Seton. I'm a UConn guy, so I would just want to see where the UConn players go. But other than that, it'd be a lot of who?
Paulie?
I think I would watch out of historical obligation to the draft. It's just such a tradition for me to watch it. I wouldn't say I'd be paying attention to it. It might be on a TV while there's a baseball game on another TV. and I'll be like, oh, there's Isaiah Collier got drafted. And, like I remember him a little bit. Where did Donovan Clingan go? And maybe I could learn about some of the foreign-born players and what their background is because there's a lot of unknowns. So yeah, more out of obligation than real.
So, but I feel like for me, it's almost the opposite. I would want to watch to see the highlight clips of these guys I've never heard of. That used to be my favorite part of the NFL draft is back before like social media and back before you could go on Instagram or TikTok and watch highlights of all these guys. I remember distinctly my sophomore year of college, we got a couple of 30 packs of maybe like Natty Light or something. Nice. And we watched the 1999 NFL draft in my dorm room, 211 Gauss Hall, biggest room on campus, by the way. It slept 11. And I had all the guys come over, we're watching it. And the Tampa Bay Bucks drafted this D tackle out of LSU named Anthony Booger McFarland. And the year before, Matt Burke had gotten drafted out of Harvard by the Vikings. I thought, well, if that guy got drafted, maybe I can get a shot. I watched a highlight video of Booger McFarland at a 300-pound nose tackle chasing down running backs sideline to sideline. And we all looked at each other in absolute awe. And I remember thinking, yeah, there's no way I would ever be able to play in the NFL. But my point is, it used to be one of the coolest things about the draft was the highlight packages they put together on these guys, both NFL and NBA draft. Is that still the same? I mean, it is for me because these guys tonight, the France guys or whatever, I have never seen them play. I'm trying to remember the first time I heard about Wemby and the first time someone posted Wemby clips last year on social media, and I was like, oh my gosh. Of course, I'm talking about, I think everybody knows Victor Wembanyama from the Spurs, but it was like last February, maybe? Last March? I never even heard of the guy. And then on social media, I'm scrolling, and I see this 7'4" guy like draining threes, looking like he can really handle the ball. That's the coolest part about tonight to me, is watching the highlight clips of these guys, Paulie.
Yeah, the European players as well, especially because you haven't seen much of them before. They're playing internationally. I'm looking back at a clip from the 1998 draft, and I can remember watching that one specifically. Marv, help me out here. Didn't Milwaukee and Dallas with Robert Tractor Trailer, Michigan, the big dude, and they traded him straight up for Dirk Nowitzki right during or after the draft?
Correct.
And everybody's like, what? You're trading Tractor Trailer for this guy from Germany?
Yeah, but I'm looking at the Nowitzki highlights. It's classic Dirk Nowitzki. He's 7 foot. He's playing outside. I'm like, wow, look at this guy. This guy's something. But nobody knew. They didn't even pronounce his name. They called him Nowitzki during the draft, not Nowitzki. I don't even know if that's right. But they were calling him two different names on the pronunciation watching the old video.
So that's one of my questions this morning, is whether or not you're going to watch tonight's NBA draft.